There's another update video on Bitcoin and Ethereum. As you can see, in the short term, I've taken a small short position now in Bitcoin, but also in Ethereum. There are reasons for that. We'll take a closer look at this in the smaller time frames. We're also going to look at BlackRock. They've moved 430,000 Ethereum from their BlackRock wallet, split across different addresses. What could that mean? We'll go through that in detail. What we also see, Michael Saylor bought another 1,040 Bitcoins yesterday, worth $110.2 million US. Extremely bullish. We're also going to look at PlanBiff. You know him. He makes super exciting videos. He still sticks to his stock to flow model, and he says we could actually see a price of around 130,000 US in June. Then we also take a look at a liquidation heat map. For Bitcoin, here we see Bitcoin everything that was previously shorted has been taken out to the upside, and the same goes for Ethereum. These massive shorts that had built up here, which were actually supposed to push the price down, were perfectly liquidated. Let's go through my positions a bit. I took some profits from my Ethereum long position. Here I now have almost 4,350 in realized profits and still about 4,100 unrealized. And with Bitcoin, I actually took a bit more profit as well with this pump this morning. So here there are almost $2,000 in profit and only 500 left in the remaining position. Why is that? What's the reason? If we really do drop even lower and pick up liquidity, then I will only scale back in at that point. And here you can also see my Ethereum short, which is currently open. That's a tanks, a really small one, $1,500. And I still have the 100x open here. And here too, I took some profit. Then we also have the trading bots. You know, trading bots, if you're not familiar with them yet, check out my channel. Of course, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed. But check out the video on 100% passive income on autopilot. Super exciting. In it, I show exactly how these trading bots work in detail. And in this video, I actually set up this trading bot. You can see here, it has already generated profits. But the others that I've set up have also finally hit their take profits again yesterday. And right now, the first bot has made almost 1% in 9 days. And here we have the second one. 21 days, 2%. That means this month we'll probably manage around 3 to 3.5% again. All in the spot market, which is super safe for me. And the other two are also still very profitable. Since the price pumped like that, it was of course ideal for all 15 of my open buyback orders to be filled. Now let's quickly move on to Bitcoin chart analysis. So short positions seem to be working out at the moment. That means why did I go short on Bitcoin? There are two reasons. Number one, let's dive right into it. We still have the CME gap here. It hasn't been filled yet, and you know this from my previous videos. CME gaps are usually filled about 90 to 95% of the time. That doesn't mean it happens immediately, but the chances are very high that it will. And unfortunately, we haven't done that because otherwise I would trust this pump here a lot more. But that doesn't mean we're going to go down there immediately. We could also keep going up, but the reason I went short simply comes down to two reasons. Here we had the last liquidation candle again, which we can also see here. On the liquidation heat map, there was another massive attempt to short the market here. And the market makers and probably the exchanges as well didn't let that slide and liquidated everything here once again. There were actually several billion that had accumulated here in short liquidations, and these were indeed taken out with this candle. That was reason number one. Reason number two, after this pump, after this last candle, we had a strong consolidation here and didn't know, are we going to go further up or down? And we saw that we had a breakout to the downside. And this breakout to the downside, in my opinion, actually, I would add a bit more here if we reach that level, but I went short right away, more or less. This was my price range. This is my Bitcoin short position, which I have open on Bitunix. So where are my price targets? We have two price targets. First, the possibility, my key level that we have. We can switch to a 1 hour chart for that. You can see it a bit better there as well. Exactly this key level, this green bar that we have, would also line up with the next volume block here. That would be one of my possibilities. It doesn't mean we'll drop that far, but that's definitely where I would take profits first. The second reason for me is simply the CME gap. For those who don't know what that means, that's the weekend when the major exchanges aren't trading. And when the big exchanges have closed the market here, it's very much in their interest to push the price back there if it hasn't already returned to that level. You can also see this in the past. For example, we had a CME gap here that closed further up. What did we do? We went back down to pick it up, and only after that did the market move back up, or rather continue to correct. But we just need to look at the past to see how often the CME gaps get filled. Because here you can see that was a balanced CME gap. So not much happened here, but in this price range there was a pump upwards. What happened then? We went down to fill the CME gap. I also made a video about this. You're welcome to watch it. In that video, I go through all of this in detail. Here too, you can see the exchanges closed here, the price went down, and the exchanges that leased the market makers, including the exchanges, brought the market back up to close this CME gap. And for me, it's still very interesting right now whether we'll go down to fill it or not. But of course, it could also be that we go much higher and only come back to fill it at some point in the future. For now though, this is the reason why I've opened a short position. Then we also have the very overheated RSI right on the 1 hour chart. This means we could see a bit of a recovery here now, which would also be very interesting. And if you look closely, the MACD on the 1 hour chart has a bearish cross and briefly bearish momentum. I wouldn't necessarily jump straight into a short right now. I'm actually doing this with a conscious awareness of the risk, but there are several signs for me that suggest we could see a market correction. If I now also take my Fibonacci entry level, which we have here, then I just need to adjust it briefly. Then, with this volume block, my Fibonacci entry levels would also line up with the 0.618 level, which corresponds to the CME gap. For this reason, I'm taking the risk with a short position, and for the first time, I'm taking partial profits at my key level, which is around 117, 170. But of course, I'll continue to monitor the market closely. Overall, however, we must not forget, and I've prepared a second chart for you for this. We actually have a bull flag here, a beautiful bull flag, which we've broken out of to the upside. Take a look at this. If I zoom in here now, I'll also adjust this a little bit here. This is exactly the bull flag I'm talking about, the one we formed here. Correction to the downside, then a nice breakout to the upside, and so far without a retest. But this breakout to the upside could actually catapult us to new price targets, which are around 135, 137,000 US dollars. That could also align with my divergence strategy, where we would end up roughly in that area as well, if we take a look at it. So I would say we have this double divergence if the price actually rises further now and rises here as well, and if we don't break through this upward trend to the upside, or if the RSI also fails to do so, then we would actually have a possible bearish event occurring at this price level. But that's something for the more distant future. In the near future, I still see a resistance that we have to break through with these candle highs here. In this case, that means roughly here. This price level of 113,000 to 114,000 US dollars will be very interesting to see whether we actually break through it to the upside or whether it will be rejected unless we take a breather now, fill the IMI gap, and actually calm down a bit here before we can continue to rise. Those are my initial analyses of Bitcoin. I see Ethereum in a very similar way. We can see that we've had a small consolidation, have now had 2 retests, but haven't managed to make new higher highs. We're actually only looking at the 15-minute chart here. We shouldn't forget that. But what we haven't managed to do anymore is make new highs. Instead, we're actually making lower highs and lower lows. And now we're leaving a local volume area here. That would also bring me to around this price level of 2,600 for the time being. This means that this consolidation here, you can also see it very clearly on the 1-hour chart that we actually had and broke through to the upside with a single candle, then it continued upwards. And exactly at this level where the support begins here or even already here, I would have the opportunity to take my first partial profits and then move the stop loss into profit and see how things develop from there. Because with Ethereum, if you look at the liquidation heat map on a smaller time frame, I'm switching to the 3-day range. Now you can see that new liquidity has built up around 2,470 and that this could possibly be a cluster that gets taken out. But from a purely technical perspective, I might not go that far down yet because $2,400 would actually be somewhere down here in this area again. And whether that actually matches up, I can't say. Also my Ethereum short position, if we take another look at the 4-hour chart, that's a reason as well. Not only did we have this consolidation with lower lows here in the smaller time frame, but we also have this green key level. And right here, we just had a rejection. We dipped into it a bit, got rejected. And even with this last 4-hour candle, we saw another rejection here. We'll see whether we actually continue to move further down. I will also move my stop loss to break even as soon as possible, so I'm not risking anything anymore. But at this point in time, this volume block that's coming in here could become super interesting as it's also this consolidating area here. Because this strong vector candle downwards could also be a reason for it to get filled. But what happens if my short positions don't work out? For me personally, it's not a problem at all because I have my long swing positions and the short positions are just hedge positions where I try to accumulate a bit of profit to take advantage of correction phases. We would also have opportunities for new entries here. If we look at this, that would actually be a price level of around $2,500. Where from a Fibonacci perspective, we would have entry points. But if we say we're not taking the swing low, but rather this swing low, then we would actually have opportunities for a long position in this consolidating price area around 2,600. But I still need to watch the market closely to determine where I would enter again, or also to scale my open swing positions to see how things develop from there. Let's take a quick look at BlackRock. BlackRock, indeed. We've seen an outflow in the last 4 hours, and you can see it inheritance 1,000 Ethereum each time, always to different wallets. And what's happening here? Why is BlackRock transferring so much Ethereum to other wallets? And you can see here, I can keep scrolling and there are pages and pages, about 5 pages showing this Ethereum outflow. And the last time there was such an outflow was actually during the Bitcoin sell-off that happened. And I've analyzed this a bit as well because where is all this Ethereum going right now? And I provided all of these wallets to JGPT and had them analyzed. And the following was discovered. The transfers are systematically split into amounts of 10,000 Ethereum each time. This is an institutional move, because from a main wallet, which of course belongs to BlackRock, is often transferred to a secondary wallet and then further distributed into cold wallets. Of course, this could mean something. Maybe they already know more about these Ethereum staking ETFs, or perhaps they simply don't want to store everything in a single wallet. Because what has been distributed here is actually the accumulation of around 430,000 Ethereum that they have accumulated over the past few weeks. and why exactly these are being split up now, I haven't figured that out yet, but I'll keep you updated. Leave me a like, I'd really appreciate it, drop a comment and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. See you next time. Ciao, ciao.